So we're going to continue our discussion, which is exercise number 10, internal organ of the frog or toad. So what do you mean by internal organ? So internal organ is inside the body of cavity of a frog. There are many organ systems present, such as circulatory system, digestive system, respiratory system, nervous system, and excretory system, and reproductive system. So there are six organ system inside the body of the frog. So all the organs and organ systems are well developed with specific function. So what is so here we go. Feeding is last time you sacrifice a frog or toad by chemical means. So next is body wall and viscera. So body wall and viscera is a pin freshly killed or preserved toad or frog on its back in a dissecting pan. So dire is mag-dissect ang taog frog pero kay wala man ta nakalab, so ato na lang siyang i-discuss. So, cut the skin first and then the thin muscles on the ventral body wall with forceps and scissors. So, ang frog unta ato is ato siyang i-cut. Then, atong bulungan ang thin muscles on the vertebral body. And then, when you use scalp, reverse the direction of cutting so as not to damage the internal organs. So if mag-dissect ta og frog or toad, kailangan nga atong ampingan nga dili ma-cut ang or dili ma-damage ang internal organ of the frog. Then note that as you cut through the body wall into the coilum, you cut through the following structures. So ang imong i-cut is kaning skin. Dayon 1 is skin, then 2 is subcutaneous lymph space, 3 muscles, and 4 is ang parietal. So, what do you mean by skin? So, skin is the outermost covering of the body. So, there I have my definition of another definition of skin. So skin is the body largest organ made of water, protein, fats, and mineral. So skin protects your body from germs and regulates body temperature. So next is subcutaneous lymph or space. So a thin space filled with body fluid and lymph. So subcutaneous lymph is known as the hydrodermis or superficial fascia. Is the layer of tissue that underlies the skin. The terms originate from subcutaneous in Latin and hypoderm in Greek, both of which mean beneath the skin as it is deepest layer the rest of above the fascia. So next is the mesogaster. So the internal organs expose the visceral organs to view by making a longitudinal central slit on the abdominal wall extending from the level of the hind legs upward along the median line cut through the pectoral girdle and continue through the muscles of the lower jaw. Kite sideways when reaching the pectoral girdle to avoid damaging the heart. Cut across both at the front and hind ends of this longitudinal slit and pin the resulting flaps on the dissecting pan. Moisten the specimen as necessary or wash with water. The internal organs like the coelomic cavity are lined by a thin smooth membrane and the visceral peritoneum. Dorsally, the peritoneum is folded downward to enclose and suspend the digestive tract and other organs. 2 layers of supporting peritoneum that are in pass to and from the organs. The following are the names of the various mesenteries and the organs that they suspended. So there are mesogaster, mesobronchos, mesorchium, mesotubarium, mesovarium, mesenterium, and mesorectum. So mesogaster. So mesogaster is the fold or peritoneum connecting the stomach with the dorsal wall of the abdominal cavity. Muna siya ang mesogaster. So mesobronchos is lungs. Mesobronchos is the main bronchus of either lung. Next is mesorchium. So mesorchium is the fold of peritoneum that attaches the testes to the dorsal wall of the body cavity or scrotal sac. The next is mesovarium. So mesovarium is the portion of the broad ligament of the uterus that covers the ovaries. So ang mesovarium is siya ang broad ligament nga of the uterus nga nagcover sa ovaries. Next is the mesenterium. So what is mesenterium? So mesenterium is a mesentery proper small intestine. So mesenterium is an organ that attaches the intestines to the posterior abdominal wall in human. And it's formed by the double fold of peritoneum. It helps in storing fat and allowing blood vessels, lymphatics, and nerves to supply the intestines among other functions. Next is, anyways, muna siya ang mesenterium. Muna siya ang mesenterium. Kanang naadira. Kanang makita. Muna siya ang mesenterium. Muna siya. Next is the mesorectum. So mesorectum is the fatty tissue envelope of the rectum containing blood and lymph vessels, lymph nodes, and autonomic nerves. The majority of patients with rectal cancer present with disease confined to the mesorectal package. So next is the heart. The heart is a tiny pear-shaped organ at the anterior portion enclosed in the pericardial. So in other definition, heart is a fist-sized organ that pumps blood throughout your body. Next is liver. So liver is a large reddish-brown organ near the heart. So next is gallbladder. So gallbladder is thin spherical greenish sac containing bile. So gallbladder is a small pear-shaped organ in your upper right abdomen. So your gallbladder stores and releases bile to help your digestive system break down fats. So the most common issue you may develop with your gallbladder is gallstone. Gallstones are pebble-like objects made from bile materials. Next is the lungs. So the lungs is two soft, thin-walled organs, dorsal to the liver. What tissues make up the air sacs? So lungs are located on either side of the breastbone in the chest cavity and are divided into 5 main sections. The lungs are responsible for removing carbon dioxide from the blood and adding oxygen to it. The heart and lungs work together to do this. So next is esophagus. So esophagus is a large tube extending from the mouth cavity. So esophagus is aware of your esophagus until you swallow something. Too large, too hot, or too cold. You may also notice it when something is wrong. You may feel pain or have trouble of swallowing. So next is the stomach. The stomach is enlarged, whitish, bent chamber along the left side dorsal to the liver and posterior to the esophagus. So, ang stomach is nakonect siya dito sa esophagus. So, ang stomach is important organ and the most dilated portion of the digestive system. The esophagus precedes it and the small intestine follows. It is a large muscular and hollow organ allowing for a capacity to hold food. It is comprised of four main regions: the cardia, the fundus, the body, and the pylorus. So next is the small intestine. So the small intestine is the whitish slender cold tube extending from the pylorus down to the large intestine located to the duodenum of the ileum. So small intestine has three parts: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. It helps to further digest food coming from the stomach. It absorbs nutrients, vitamins, mineral and carbohydrates, fats and protein, water from food so they can be used by the body. The small intestine is part of the digestive system. So the large intestine is the dark, short, wider terminal portion that is continuous with the small intestine. So the large intestine is the long tube like an organ that is connected to the small intestine at one end and the anus at the other. The large intestine has four parts: the cecum, the colon, and the rectum, and anal canal. Partly digested food moves through the cecum into the colon, where water and some nutrients and electrolytes are removed. So next is cloaca. So cloaca is an enlarged thin chamber portion of the large intestine with the pelvic girdle. So next is spleen. Spleen is a small reddish spherical body that may be found in the mesorectum near the large intestine. It is not a digestive organ. So what its function? So, pancreas is a small irregularly shaped yellowish gland which lies in the omentum gastroduodenal that connects the stomach, liver, and the anterior portion of the small intestine. Both the bile and the pancreatic juice are carried into the duodenum by the common bile duct. So kidney is the two dark brown elongated bodies on the dorsal body wall or on either side of the vertebral column. So next is corpora and adiposa or fat bodies. Two yellowish finger-like organs attached to the anterior end of each gonad. So next is urinary bladder. So urinary bladder is Bleoped membrous sac originating from the ventral wall of the cloaca. So next is ovaries. So ovaries is a two lateral organs in the abdomen of the female, either small or destined with small back and with eggs in various stages of development. Next is oviducts. So oviducts is pair of coiled which tubes found lateral to the kidney and close to each ovary. Next is testes, pair of whitish, yellowfish, oval or bean-shaped body suspended ventral to the kidneys by a short mesentery. So that's all for exercise number 10. Thank you.